And of course, there's many politicians, academics, mainstream media people who claim that DEI initiatives, and your book deals with this here, diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're making Canada a united, peaceful society, you know, kumbaya. But you suggest that the opposite is actually true, and you again, fork out a lot of different studies on this, that DEI policies are scientifically invalid and are actually doing harm. Do you want to just touch on that a bit?
Yeah, I sure do. So it's funny. It's like we live in the bizarro world. You know, if you're a fan of comics, Superman has a bizarro world where everything is the mirror image, everything that is good is bad. And we really have that here in Canada and in the blue states in the United States as well, where they're promoting these policies such as diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And they're saying, oh, this is going to make everybody like each other better. They're going to be able to get along and we'll have better productivity in businesses. It's just not true. And again, I bring the empirical evidence to this. And I show that study after study, including meta-analyses, which is this aggregation of all these studies, hundreds of studies, to look at whether or not something is valid. And in the case of DEI, it simply isn't. So while it doesn't do anything good, and I show this in my book, it is clearly doing harm. We can see that people who embrace DEI ideology the most, they actually suffer from the greatest levels of diagnosed mental illness. So it's this kind of thing that I'm exposing. But at the same time, I don't want people to think, oh, it's going to be such a black pill. It's going to be negative. I'm saying, no, there's also the solution. So even though I debunk DEI, I say we really have a model. We have a model of what Christian justice has looked like for 2,000 years. And it's this notion of impartiality. And I work through that as well, because I don't want to just point out the problem. I want to point out the solution. And each time that I'm attacking something that doesn't work, I also offer what does work. And the thing about this is 2,000 years ago, they knew what worked. And then we just slowly appropriated that and we enjoyed the success. We just have to get back to it.
Mm-hmm. You also write about immigration. Boy, lots of different opinions on that. Our Canadian immigration policy, right? Especially over the last decade or two here. A lot of Canadians saying, you know, it's actually created significant social and economic strain, right? Look at the price of housing and so forth. And you suggest that some cultures are not compatible with Western values. You got blowing up people's minds right now across the country with that statement, right? Because again, you know, we all want to be equal. You know, and some people would say that statement makes you racist. But you know, you look at different cultures across our world, it would be ludicrous to say they're all equal. Obviously not.
Right, and I would, anybody who's listening or watching, I'd say facts can't be racist. Facts are facts.
That's good. I like that.
And so, and again, I'm not bringing my opinion to this. I mean, I bring some understanding and I bring some clarification, but I let the facts speak for themselves because that's what's going to convince people. And on the topic of immigration, we don't have any studies showing that it does anything good anymore. For the last 10 years, whether it's studies of the economy and immigration, or if it is social trust in immigration, or it's crime in immigration, it is all trending to the negative and significantly negative. And this idea that diversity is our strength, I actually have a chapter, I think it's chapter 8, where I say, no, sameness is our strength. And I am not talking about skin color sameness, because in fact, the studies, when they look at it, skin color isn't an issue. I mean, there are some people who truly are racist, both people of color and white people who are racist. I don't deny that. But when it comes to the fracturing of society, it's not skin color that's causing the problem. It's a difference in culture. And there are some cultures that simply are not compatible. And I'm showing that in the data.
Yeah.
And
so the question is, what do we want more of that into Canada? And no, we don't. We want people here with similar values, right? So,
right.
And I apologize for interrupting here, Dr. Haskell. It's just the clock is ticking here, and it doesn't respect any people either, does it? It just keeps on going, you know. But let me ask you this before we run completely out of time: how is it possible to get Canadians to turn away from this woke ideology we're talking about and start to live according to the biblical principles that you're talking about here? What needs to happen?
Well, I think my book, Christ or Collapse, is really the starting point for this. And it's a starting point because I'm saying, listen, you don't have to be a Christian to understand this argument, to appreciate this argument. And even though I'm a Christian myself, I intentionally took the route of going with empirical and historical evidence. And it's the best empirical and historical evidence. And I've showed what doesn't work. And then I show what does work. And then I want people to decide for themselves. Are they going to have Christ or collapse?
Christ or Collapse is available in print, ebook, and audiobook. Available from publisher College Press, Amazon, and other major retailers.